Welcome to Module 5, how to actually execute the pitch. In the last Module 4, we talked about preparing the pitch, and now I want to tell you exactly how to go about it in each of the circumstances that you may encounter. So in this video, 5-1, I'm going to talk about how to use email to get your pitch to producers. Now, there's a really important consideration that we haven't talked about yet, and that's the attachments to an email. Are you allowed to use attachments or not? Well, it's 50-50. 50% of the shows out there love attachments. The other 50% hate them. As a matter of fact, lots of show email systems will prevent you from emailing any attachments to a show host or producer. And usually the larger the show, the less that they will accept attachments. Now, what would an attachment to an email include? Things like your bio, your headshot, and your list of questions, and maybe a press release that goes along with what you're talking about. So let's go through each one of those. I have 2 bios. You need to have 2 bios. One should be no longer than 3 lines long of typed print, because that's all that a host is going to be willing to read about you as they introduce you. And so that should be designed for a host to introduce you. The second bio is as long as it can be. It includes every detail of everything you've ever done. My longer bio is about 2.5 pages long. It even includes pictures of things that I've done along the way. Now, I send it as well if I'm allowed to send attachments, because that gives them all of the detail that they ever want. They would use that to write a blurb about me that would appear on their website or things like that. So the attachments are super important. I also send a headshot. Almost always they post your picture, and I would rather I choose the picture than they go on Google and find a bad picture of me looking like this or something, right? So I'm going to send a good headshot. And remember, we also talked about the list of questions that we want to create. This list of questions is your format for the interview. The first question is, why are you an expert? Or how did you get started? And it goes all the way through the interview. A great interview is pre-planned by you, and this list of questions is the outline of that interview. I always send this to a host or to a producer because it indicates, 1, I'm a professional, and 2, this will be super easy for you. A host doesn't want to sit there and figure out what to ask you. They want to just be given the questions. And I'll tell you a really quick story. I did an interview one time with 2 hosts from Fox News. And I don't know what you think about Fox. That's irrelevant to this story. But what happened was pretty funny. It was a 2-segment interview. The first interviewer, and this is someone famous that you've heard of, read the first 6 questions and said, great, we're going to go to commercial now. We came back, and the second host asked me the exact same questions in the exact same order. Be prepared for stuff like this. The hosts weren't paying attention to each other. They weren't listening. And I had to answer the same questions twice. But anyway, it shows you how much a host will rely on these questions and how important they are. Also, I want you to include hyperlinks in your email. So for example, when I say I've done 175 interviews, that is underlined and a hyperlink is inserted there that goes to my media page on my website where every interview that I've ever done is listed. Now that's a way of them to look at the interviews, establish how credible you are, but just as a way of saying, look, here they are. And then if you do anything else, say like, I was CNN called me the Simon Cowell of small business. Well, I'm also going to make that a hyperlink that goes directly to the link on CNN. Again, that's a lot of credibility I've just built in right there. Use these hyperlinks to make your emails as successful and as useful as possible. Again, we're going to start off with a great hook. The body of the email is going to start off with the host name. Thank you, for listening to me, all those sort of generic things with good attachments, good hyperlinks. And again, I'm going to send this email to 100 people at a time. Cut, paste, cut, paste. My procedure is cut, paste, change the name, slightly modify the email so that it's a little bit specific for each host, and then keep going. I can do about 100 of these in 2 hours. It's a good reference for you. You should be able to send out 100 unsolicited emails and get on about 15 shows in 2 hours. All right, in the next video, I'm going to tell you how to go about this process, not using email, but using snail mail. I'll be right back.